Hello everybody, it's Mitch here from Grammosaurus. In this video I'm going to reference a 1, a 2 and a 3 when talking about the leftovers of a sentence. And that's because there are 3 different types of leftover. Let's go through each one before we start the training. Number 1, subject or object complement. Now we're not going to use those technical terms with the children. Instead, we're simply going to say it's something that adds to the noun. So in the video, you'll hear me reference it as a 1 or something that adds to the noun. Number 2, adverbial. Adverbials answer questions like where, when, how, or why. In the video, I'm going to call this a 2 or describe it by its function. So you're going to hear me say it's a where or a when, etc. Number 3, an object. I'm simply going to refer to this as a what or as a 3 in the video. As you can tell, in each example, I'm referencing function and the number 1, 2, 3 that it aligns with from our 3 leftovers. When you label leftovers, you do not need to give a number to them. You do not need to get the children to memorise what a 2 is, what a 1 is, what a 3 is. This is simply to show you that these are the 3 leftovers. When you move forward to modelling writing, simply draw an arrow where the leftover is and describe its function. Say to the children, what does this tell you more about? It tells you where. Okay, so it's a where, let's write where. Or use our new sentence pattern cards and stick the where on the screen, etc.
So you've taught the children how to use sentences, how to demarcate them, start to look at them in paragraphs and how you can demarcate sentences there. So we need to look at now how we can actually write things, how we can model things to the children, because you don't want to lose what you've just spent ages doing when you get onto writing composition. So this part here is all about how you bring the place value, punctuation and grammar into teaching writing, modelling writing. So here we've got some example sentences about dogs. This is for a non-chronological report about dogs. It's best to do a non-chron after you've taught this unit because it's very statement heavy, which means you can really identify those subjects and verbs really easily. So let's take a look at the examples on the board and I'm going to show you how we would use this. So we've got lots of people love dogs. They can be big or small. Some have long hair, some have short hair. So let's imagine we are doing a little project with the children on dogs and we've collected some ideas together and we've just written this on the board. You'll notice that when I've written it down, I haven't used a single capital letter and full stop, and I've done that on purpose because what we're now going to do is we're going to get the children to recognise where those capital letters and full stops go. So you do your first few sentences, just 3, 4 to start with, and then you say, oh dear, I've forgotten where to put some of my capital letters and full stops. How can we figure that out together? Well, we're going to find our subject and verb. So let's use our colours and let's find them. So lots of people love dogs. They can be big or small. Some have long hair, some have short hair. What's our first verb? Love. Who loves what loves? Lots of people love. And I'm going to underline that because that's more than one word there. So lots of people love dogs. Good. What's our next verb? Oh, we've got a verb phrase. It's can be. So I'm going to put VP. Who can be? What can be? They can be. Oh, they refers back to dogs. Okay. So they can be big or small. Some have long hair, some have short hair. Let's do our next verb. Have. Who has what has? Some, meaning some dogs. And what's our final verb? We have again. Who has what has? Some dogs have. Okay, so let's look at what we've got so far. Can we go through and add in some of our full stops? No, because we've got some leftovers. We haven't actually annotated everything first. So let's go through. Dogs. Does that belong to the blue, green, red or orange clause? Talk to your partners and decide. So this is where I would let the children talk to each other and they would come back and they would say, blue one. And I'd say, great. So it belongs to the blue clause. But I'd say to them, why does it belong to the blue clause? So they've got to have a think. Remember, it's one of those 3 things. It's either it's telling you more about the noun. So Is that telling you more about the noun? Dogs, lots of people know. So number 2, telling you more about the verb. Where do they love? No. How do they love? No. Is it telling you number 3, what receives the verb, or what after the verb? What do they love? Dogs. Yes. So that's number 3. There we go. Lots of people love dogs. Let's go on to the next one. They can be big or small. Big or small. So does that belong to the blue, green, red or orange? It's going to belong to the green, isn't it? Big or small. Because these are 2 adjective choices of what the dogs can be. So they equal big or small. So this is a number 1 here. And that's going to go back that way. And then we go on to the next one. Some have long hair, some have short hair. So long hair, is that going to go to red, green, blue or orange? It's going to go to red, isn't it? So some have long hair. Why does it belong to the red though? Well, it's not telling us, it's not a synonym for dogs. So it's not a number 1. It's not an adjective for dogs, so it's not a number 1. It's not telling us about the have. But what do they have? They have long hair. So a little trick for you. If it's got have, it's always going to be that number 3. Okay? And then finally, some have short hair. Well, we now know this is going to be a 3, and we know it's the orange. So you go through each one, and look how simple it is then to go forward and then add in the full stops. I can see as soon as there's a colour change and that represents a clause change, we put a full stop. So, tell me when the people stop loving. Stop. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to go back and add a capital letter. Tell me when we stop talking about them being something. There. So, we go back, capital letter. Tell me when we stop talking about them having here. And capital letter. And tell me when we stop doing the having again, there. And capital letter. How simple is that? Lots of modelling of that, because the children are going to be faced with writing that they've done when they've gone off where they haven't punctuated it correctly. And at the minute, the only thing we've got to get them to check it is by saying, read that back to yourself, check it, does it make sense? And so many younger children don't know it doesn't make sense. So instead, say, let's model this like this, then you go away and you have to include your capital Letters and full stops, of course. But after you've written a few sentences, everyone's going to stop. You're going to get some colours, alternate colours. You can do it in pairs like we did in the last activity. And I want you to prove that your full stops are in the right place, because doing that is going to make the child more confident over time to be able to punctuate their sentences consistently and effectively and accurately. Now we've learned about subordinating conjunctions and coordinating conjunctions, we're going to apply it to our paragraph here again. So let's take a look. If they do, many shake their tail with excitement when they see their lead. So let's find our subject and verb for each part first before we decide how to demarcate this structure. So our first verb is do. Who does what does? They. So they is the subject. What's the next verb after that? Shake. Who shakes what shakes? Many, as in many dogs. And the last verb is see. Who sees what sees? They see. So we can't go ahead and now punctuate this because we've got the leftovers. So let's take a look at the leftovers and decide what is going on with those. So we've got if first of all, and we know if straight away is going to go this way because it's our subordinating conjunction. And I've put a chain there because if the clause moves, the subordinating conjunction is going to go with it. So we've already got the red part, there's nothing else we need to do there. We've got the blue structure here, many shake their tail with excitement. So I'm actually going to put a little dotted line down the middle here. We know that it's going to be blue, but is it going to be 1, 2 or 3? I've split it apart because one half of this is one of the numbers, 1, 2 or 3, and the other part is another number. So what I'd like you to do here is pause the video to decide their tail, and with excitement, is it 1, 2 or 3 for each one? Figure that out and we'll carry on in a second. Pause the video now. Okay then, so let's decide. So their tail, well, what do they shake? They shake their tail. So number 3, done. Next one, with excitement. Well, that's telling us how do they shake it? Do they do it quickly? Do they do it slowly? Do they do it in boredom? No, they do it with excitement. So that's going to be a number 2 because it's saying more about the verb shake there. And then finally, we've got the last section. We've got when and we've got their lead. So we know that when is a subordinating conjunction. So again, we're going to chain it over to here because the conjunction is going to follow that clause if it moves. And we've got their lead, which is our last bit. And again, that's a number 3 because what do they see? They see their lead. That's the object of that sentence there. So we've now got, if they do, many shake their tail with excitement when they see their lead. I can get rid of that little dotted line there now because we've got that full structure. So we can now go and punctuate it. So to separate these clauses, I can use commas. If the clause is at the front, the subordinate clause, then we have to use a comma. If it's afterwards, it's a choice if you want to or not. So let's go along. Tell me when they stop doing. Stop, and that's a subordinate clause because the chain's there. So we need to put a comma because it's at the front of this main clause here. Many shake their tail with excitement. Then we've got another subordinate clause here. So it would be a choice to put a comma or not put a comma. It's up to you. You do not have to. It's clarity over convention there. And then, of course, tell me when do they stop seeing here. So that's the end of the entire sentence. So we can now put that full stop and we can go back to the beginning and add a capital letter. So now I want to go back and see where we could actually put a coordinating conjunction because we haven't got any here so far. And remember that coordinating conjunctions can be used to join clauses together. So I'm going to read through it and see where is there a logical join to put 2 of these together. Let's read it and see. So lots of people love dogs. They can be big or small. Some have long hair, some have short hair. I think I've spotted it straight away. Most dogs like to go on walks. If they do, many shake their tail with excitement when they see their lead. I'm definitely thinking that here is the right place to put it because of that repetition of some. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to add an and in, and I'm going to get rid of that capital letter there and do that. Just put some. So what about if you've just written that sentence afresh and you've put some have long hair and some have short hair, and you want to use that idea straight away because sometimes you just want to add coordinating conjunctions in as you write naturally. So if you're going to do that, what would you do differently? Nothing. I'm going to just model to you quickly what you would do. So some have long hair, you would do your subject verb, you would find out the leftovers exactly as we've done, and then this is all you would do. Right, tell me when some stop having. Stop. Do we need to put a full stop there? No, because we've got a conjunction instead. Now it's a choice to put a comma before it if you want to. You don't have to again. Many of them, the expectation is to put a comma there. So and but, etc. But with and, it is a bit of a choice there. So go for it if you want to. So we then can continue. Tell me when some stop having, stop, then full stop, go back and add a capital letter. So exactly the same thing, and you would use that idea to put the comma in before the coordinating conjunction if you want to do that as well. But you can see that what we did there, what we did with just the simple sentence, the complex sentence and the compound, it's all exactly the same because they're all just clause structures, and you are teaching the children how to demarcate them, how to spot the structures so that they can then go and add whatever punctuation mark you've told them. And with this, you could also go back through and add colons, semicolons, anything you've taught the children, which is about the boundary of clauses, you can then go back and add in, or you can do it at the same time and then go back and demarcate however you want to do it. It works in any way, shape or form.